Good morning, everyone. It's been a couple of exciting weeks for us, and in last couple of weeks, we have been talking to so many industry leaders on so many topics around technology, so many different discussions on different areas of technology, and it's been exciting conversation with every industry leader that we have spoken to. New areas, new avenues, new ideas have actually started, coming out during these conversations. Specifically for me, I've been enjoying all those conversations. I'm sure whoever is listening to them are also enjoying all those conversations. So today we have got another important guest with us, Mr. Subhashish Banerjee, who is again an industry veteran. He has been in the industry for almost 25 years now. We as individuals look up to him for so many new ideas, so many new discussions, and it has been always enlightening discussions that we always do with him. And he has been advocating a very very important topic for so many years, the so-called digital transformation. And we actually hear this word so much nowadays that we have started forgetting or have started getting confused that what exactly is digital transformation. Because even if somebody is selling a computer, he's giving, he is setting up a data center, even if he's putting up some security solutions, it is called digital transformation. So what exactly is the digital transformation? And we think that this word is getting a little abused. We have started falling apart on this whole terminology. And because Subhashish has been talking about it for so long, so I thought it would be a great idea to have a conversation with him and understand from his perspective what exactly a digital transformation means, and how the industry should perceive, how customers should perceive, how we as IT people we should perceive digital transformation. So welcome, Subhashish, and we would like to have this exciting conversation on the hottest topic of the market, what we call is a digital transformation. So please put your take on that and let us know what exactly you think that this transformation is all about, and what is the future and how exactly it has started. Up to you, Subhashish.
Thank you, Arindam. Uh, your 3 minutes are actually becoming pretty innovative, right? All the talks and discussions which you have been having on this under this umbrella are really bringing something very exciting, very very different and innovative on this. I think
Absolutely, absolutely.
thanks to you, some different point of views are coming on. It's not always to right to agree to everything which is getting said. So that's the option. Going back to our digital transformation story, Arindam, you yourself have been in the business of trying to get trying to get your customers digitally transformed, like you said in quote unquote, quite some time, right? And we have chatted about it, we have fought about it, we have a difference of opinions, we have agreed on a lot of these things. So it's a topic which is everybody has a point of view. So I think everybody has a point of view, and there is nothing right or wrong about it. It's great to have a point of view about it. So uh, but there are some basics and some things which I think is very important when you actually define digital transformation, right?
Correct.
uh, when you do digital transformation, my basic sometimes questions to customers are, customers implement some kind of digitalization, right? They scan tons and tons of document and they call it digital transformation. You would have heard this, right? That we are now digitally transformed. We have scanned tons and three warehouses or five warehouses of our paper, and we are digitally transformed. Okay. You would have heard somebody has put a new security firewall, or some kind of a security new solution, and they're suddenly digitally transformed, right? You get to get the ribbon cuttings and cake eatings and all of them, right? We have ourselves gone and eaten cakes in some of these places, right? And the samosas, if I may say so, right? That's I don't mind them calling them digital transformation. It is their own rights. They have the right way to do it. But it's good to call themselves digital transformation internally, because if you start measuring on the outside world of digital transformation, then that's actually not a transformation. Because if you are, let's say, scanning some documents and keeping it, right? If you are let's say, automating a process and keeping it, or if you are keeping your systems ready for, let's say, a future attack because some big bad demon is out there, looking into your networks. Are you really digitally transforming? You're just saving your organization from run rate business, right? You're just ensuring that your business is done without any threats, correct? if
Correct.
if you are keeping your a vendor onboarded in a more efficient manner, are you really transforming yourself digital? No, you're just adapting to what the same vendor is getting experience from other two partners of theirs, right? So
Absolutely.
you're basically aligning to the new way of the world is moving around, right? If you have, let's say, digitalized some of your document, if you have just digitalized, that means moved from paper in terms of tons, you have moved it to HDDs, right? So are you digitally transforming it? No, you have just ensured that the retrieval of those documents are far easier than what it have been in case it is in case it is like in a paper format. So it would be little preposterous, I will use a hard word, to call it a digital transformation rather than calling it calling it the rather than calling it digital transformation, and it be little preposterous. I would rather call it aligning to the customer requirement. I would call it adapting to the world and stuff like that, right? So but that is how it is. Because the problem is that if I'm getting adapting to the way business is moving, if I'm getting adapting, then and I call it a digital transformation, then what is a digital transformation? Then is it a disruption? Then when what is a digital transformation? So let's see, let's see, we have been speaking about this, uh, because people, the business transformations are very different, right? Because transformation, a digital transformation means that transformation is first and digital is second, right? The digital technologies have transformed the business. So, is this a new way of doing business? I'm not even talking about the Ubers and the Olas or the Zomatos of the world, right? They're disruptors. They are disruptors. So if you do the first time, if you're doing it the first time, then there's disruption. If you're doing the third, fourth, fifth, and second time, it's transformation because you're transforming yourself to align to your customer, your business, your operations in a far better way. But if you're doing for the 50th time, if you're doing for the thousandth time, where others have done it, are you really digitally transforming yourself? No, you're just digitally adapting yourself to the new wide world there, right?
Very rightly said. Yeah.
The COVID times are a very good example of the way the things are moving, right? The way business was being done in 2018, right? We always had these e-services, e-factors, e-forms, ordering online, stuff like that, even in 2018, right?
Mm.
But the usage of these internet-based services or online-based services or app-based, mobile app-based services was not as high as what it was in 2020 or 2021 for that example, right? So your internet users and PKs for online services and consumption of online services is extremely high, right?
Absolutely.
There is an understanding that that this may, let's say, continue till 2022 or 2023 at max, right? And the usage of these apps will definitely come down. But the point is very pertinent here. It will never go back to 2018 measures.
Mm.
So the business has changed permanently. The business has changed permanently. Therefore, you have very innovative and digital transformation thoughts coming around, like work from home. So the real estate is in bad shape because suddenly you have 50,000 employees and 1,100,000 employees of those technologies and IT companies and fulfillment companies who can actually go and work from home. You have heard announcements being made by the very large SIs like the TCS, the Tatas, and the Wipros of the world who have decided that they will never go. They will ensure that so many people are not back to a are not
Physical
back to their
workplace.
campuses, not a physical workplace, not campuses there any longer, because they have
Mm.
seen merit. They have involved very beautiful transformative policies, procedures, automation, security devices to ensure that the work from home is equally seamless in terms of delivering to your customers or employees. The customers could be external, the customers could be internal, right? You could be, your customers could be your own employees, your customers could be your own customer, or outside world, for whatever that matter is. But if somebody is sitting from home is able to deliver some of these services or some of the features in a very seamless manner, in a more secured environment, in a more secured billing, in a seamless manner, so that would be it. So which means that your business has permanently transformed itself in the next from the from the time, even if it is 2023 and the peak of these e-services come down, they will never come back to 2018 levels. So the brick and
So
mortar stories of, yeah,
there's a kind of benchmarking already been done actually because of this whole situation, if I may say so. I mean,
correct. So that is transformation. I'm using people from work from home. No, that is, I would call it digital transformation. But filling a timesheets online is not digital transformation. So let's get these definitions of digital transformations in place. We see a lot of customers coming back and telling us, they have automated a process. You and both have got requirements from our customers who want to
correct, correct.
digitally transform the organizations. And when we get to the requirements, you find two or three forms which are were in paper format, okay, which needs to be automated or digitalized, as we say, call it. So we use a process automation tool or any kind of a form or an e-form or any services to offer these services.
Hmm.
At best scenario, the only benefit which is given to the which is given either to the vendor or to the internal employee is that he is able to onboard a customer or a vendor much more faster. Okay, the time savings are there, right? And
Point, point objectives achieved.
point objective is also. Do you call it transformation? No, I just call it adaptability, because the same vendor is probably getting these services already from two or three of his other partners.
Hmm.
Correct. So which
Correct.
means that whether you are and as a customer, we now are seeing so many apps which are coming every day, right? Everybody is now delivering either a food or a medicine, or your some of their groceries online, right? The first time it was transformative, right? Second and third time are just options for you. So like all of us now have multiple hours these app. Are they transforming? Are the second, third, or fourth or fifth are transforming? No, they're just competitions, right? They're just competitions, and their model could be that I'll be faster, there'll be no minimum value. I will give you more options, and those are the things which we look. Are they really
Top ups.
transformation of their options? They're top ups, right? So am I talking about transformation? No, I'm not talking about transformation. I'm just giving you customer another option. I'll be run on the field, but the guy who did it first was transformed.
Hmm.
Correct. He changed the way you could do apps business. So in 2020, in somewhere in April and May, we had seen a lockdown, right? We had one or two apps only which were giving us the benefits, right? Those were transformative. Today you have five apps on your table, but there are options for you. You can decide one is giving or another is not giving. And there's no point to name them, but they are good. Definitely, they're good services and all that stuff. I'm not debating on the services. They'll be far better. Someone will be better than the other, and that is all fine. But they are not transformative, is what the point I'm saying,
Hmm.
right? So the same goes with somebody trying to, doing an e-form, somebody doing 10 e-services, somebody digitalizing it. One good example, which I always think is the banks automations, right?
Hmm.
And this tons and tons of scanning of documents. You check 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 clearance is one of the biggest examples of how does digital transformation and digital adaptations works, right? So we had some years back, long years back, we had people, our parents used to write checks. We used to go with our parents, sit in the bank reception, so then we can also see how the checks are cleared, the process of cleared. So when we grow up, we are also adapted to that. Our parents will take us for our own learning purposes. So we will go, the checks will be submitted, there'll be a teller who check the checks, and then there'll be somebody who will check and clear the check, and so forth. And the check would clear very fast in 7 8 days kind of stuff. If it's very fast, it'll clear the 7 8 days of stuff. People will go and keep on checking whether the check size got cleared or not, right? So suddenly we decided that suddenly this banks decided that you need to have a check, systems where check can get cleared, in a scanned manner, right? So there were tons and tons of equipment bought, in terms of scanners at the edge points, about scanners and the printers and PCs, encryption software, this software, that software, AML software. And I remember, because I had participated in some of these tenders at that point of time, there were large tenders to be done, right? But then what happened is that once you scan all these checks and keep it in your, let's say, centralized storage, and let's say you get for some clearances, what do you do after that? So a lot of the banks, what happened is the non-visionary banks, if I may call them, or the late bloomers bank, if I may call them, that's the another way of looking at it, took the scan and kept it with themselves, and they still use visualization method and people method to ensure that the check matching, signature matching is all taken into considerations. The faster banks, the people bank who were smarter banks, they went ahead and put solutions on top of it. And today, therefore, we have solutions where you don't really wait for a check to get cleared of more than 24 hours. We are upset if the check takes more than 24 hours of clearance, right? You
Correct.
were
I
telling
mean,
me, you were telling me that day that now you go to your ATM machines and the check gets scanned. Correct?
they became our tellers. They became our digital tellers. Actually, if I say,
Correct.
in some or the other way.
Correct. So tellers have lost their jobs, right? Tellers have lost their jobs. Checker and makers have lost their jobs, but they've got invested somewhere else, right? So now today, if you're going to an international visit, the travelers checks are no longer there. The famous State Bank of India's travelers checks are no longer there. People, I know a lot of my a lot of my relatives had used to, when they used to go for international travels, they used to call tons and tons of travelers checks, and they will be clear about where the travelers checks is, or or bearers checks. People will go there, they'll find the nearest State Bank of India branch, they will go and take their teller check and they will take the cash. And SBI was very famous because they had branches all over the world to handle and help you with those checks. Where are they today? They're not there. They've got utilized in something else, right? They're doing far more different jobs. They're doing far more different kind of activities to be done there. I'm using a behemoth of a bank example like SBI to give you an example. I'm not using the private banks which are technology far more advanced and offer us far more advanced services. But so now you see a lot of those Indian banks or the Far East Asian banks, the banks from Singapore and all those Far East Asian banks, or even European banks, are giving you extremely high digital kind of experience in terms of clearance of your documents, clearance of your checks, clearance of your international checks. Why? Because we used a manual move from a manual technique and transformed ourselves to a digital technologies. What did get transferred? It got transferred the way check was getting cleared. The transformation was not that we had an encrypted software or the Swift network became
Or
a Basel 4.
correct. And we just scan like what you said. We scanned the checks and we kept it for again a manual process at the back end. I mean, we just touched the tip of the iceberg and then we left the whole iceberg untouched. Actually,
Yeah, so I know of a lot of banks, regional banks, which did not move forward on that in the next line, and they stored the scan, then they kept it, and they kept on using scanners. So every time you go with a check, they'll scan it and keep it. They'll scan it and keep it, and they will say follow the same process again. The scan document will move as a document now. So how does it really help, right? Instead of a paper document, if I'm moving a scan document and using the same workflow machine, it doesn't really help me, right? I am still following the same procedure. What did it do? It only ensured that I had a copy of the document in my place. It's like a photocopy moving, right? It's moving in a computer, right? So one important thing in digital transformation, which we always look at it, we check and ask them, what is the manual process you have, right? What is the repetitive manual process when you are moving from a manual process to a digital process? How many steps are you cutting? What are you saving? Are you saving people? Are you saving costs? Are you saving time? What are you saving, right? What is that you go back and give it to the customer, right? What does he gain out of it? A transformation always means that customer knows and thinks that you're doing business very differently. See, the just check example is just not a time saving machine. It is a completely different way of doing and clearing your check systems, right? It's just not time saving, it is just not security of it is a different way of doing on things. So there are multiple examples, when people make uh, baselines in a very different manner, and whenever you're going and embarking on a digital transformation, it is important to decide what are the goals you want to achieve. And the goals cannot be in terms of saving, only in savings of time and getting efficiencies, because that is what I will call is in terms of digital adaptability. Because then you are reaching to your customers faster, you are reaching in a more efficient manner, or you're reaching and giving your customer more options, right? That you can reach me, customer, you can reach me in ABC. I launched an app. Now you, instead of a portal, you can launch me with an app. Is it just launching another app, a digital transformation? I'm sorry, sir. It is not a digital transformation. You are just giving a customer one more channel to open out, and you are just adapting a multi-channel for your customers, right? So maybe you're opening another section of your customer which are looking into it. It may increase in revenue. Again, it is not a digital transformation because it will not do the business the way the business transformation looks like. because people make plans in a very different kind of a manner, and sometimes some of these plans are never implemented, right? And that is where the transformation happens, right? One example I always remember is this example of the London roads, right? The London roads in 1900, they in 1900 or 1888, I would say 1888, 1899, they decided that they need to plan for the London roads for 100 years. Okay, and they formed a committee. And the committee came back and studied in somewhere in 98 or some 5, 7 years. They did elaborate studies about the entire roads of suburbs of London, main London, and all that stuff. And they came back with a report that the way the roads are being used in the next 100 years, the height of the roads will increase by 10 to 15 centimeters. We need to plan accordingly. So the drainage can be need to be planned and all that stuff, right? And why was the road height going to increase by 10 to 15 centimeters? It was because it was the horse carriages which moved on top of it. There were excretion of the horse which fell on the road, and obviously everything doesn't get killed. It stays there, and therefore you need to plan. And there was a huge committee raised on how to manage horses, how to manage the excretion. There were options about can you have a box at the below the horses to carry their excretion so it didn't fall, and all kind of committee reports and all. 100 years hence, where are horses? Where are carriages? Where is that 15 centimeter hike in rate? So sometimes some plannings are done. Automobiles just transform the way the horse is a luxury leisure now. That time, which was a mode of transport now, right? So, sometimes you can't really make a plan on for false basis. And it is not that the vehicles were not there at that point of time. Vehicles were there, but somebody made a plan based on the horse and carriages instead of focusing that bus there'll be automation and
There
then
will be
there'll be
changes in the future.
exactly. So there's no point in making a transformation plan. And I'm using an analogy of something like 100 years back to make a plan that you cannot make an analogy on old systems in place. So we are looking at making a plan of digital transformation present on present basis. Sorry, sir, you're not really transforming yourselves. You're just adapting yourself, or you're making your business far more efficient about it, which is a good way to look into things, and that doesn't really matter. So I would rather, say, therefore, it's important that the customer decides at what status of digital, mode he wants to get into, right? One digital mode is the disruptors, right? Digital disruptors. They are the first of the block, right? They really think differently, right? They have a very way of they change the business. Whatever they do, they change their
The
business.
way, sorry,
Facebook,
they completely change the way a business is conducted, actually.
Facebook, Google, Uber, right? Tesla, they have a they're disruptors. They're really disruptors, right? They change economic conditions. They change relevance for a product. They change, the market conditions. The market has changed completely. Today, you are getting electrical cars, points, charging points everywhere, right? You never saw them previously. Those are disruptors, right? But disruption, cannot continue for the same strain, right? You won't go and do something else in the disruption area, right? A disruption, once it is said, then it has to get into digital transformation. So if somebody wants to go in competition with those initial one or two disruptors, they will transform themselves. So, the banks, the first bank would have been a disruptor, but the second, third, fourth, fifth, cent bank who actually quickly transform their entire focus of their business. This concept about branchless banking is a transformation, right? Because
Correct.
now you have a branchless banking, you can go, your mobile is your branch, we see ads all over the world nowadays. That's a transformation which is getting into the game, right? So the first few guys,
Fueled by digital.
yes. So
Fueled
that
by
is,
digital.
sorry.
Fueled by digital again.
Fueled by digital, right? Yeah, absolutely right. That's the word, fueled by digital, right? So you're transforming the way the customer's experience is completely. You don't want me expect to come to a branch address, a branch Swift code is a very, very different ball game, which are completely removing it. That it's a transformation thing, because you need a Swift code for any kind of transformation for a branch Swift code or a AFC code. So those games are completely now changing the way you're looking at. That's transformation. That is transformation. But then, if I'm offering a customer e-services, I'm launching an e-services, I'm launching few e-services, I have scanned few documents, and I would rather call them under digital adaptation. They
Yeah.
are very important. They are very good. It is important for you to give a better experience to your customers. That could be internal customers or external customers, employees, or the consumers and customers. They could be in terms of time, they could be in terms of efficiency. It could be ensuring that you are up with your competition, in line with your competition. You are strongly competing to your marketplace in the same field. So they are not, sometimes people, your competition changes the field itself, the game itself, right? They change in the different games.
Absolutely.
So you quickly adapt yourself and move to a different field and compete at a very strong game point with a different field, with key, very critical points. The way I was talking about those food delivery, or the whole grocery delivery apps, right? The competition is very heavy, right? The guy who transformed initially is no longer in the game, right? So that's the way you people have to keep completely, modifying themselves, changing themselves, changing the business model. That's an adaptability kind of stuff. But everybody who builds up an app, or everybody who builds up a new process automation, or everybody who goes for an ERP implementation is talking about transforming himself is little far-fetched, right? You can discuss it
Absolutely.
in your own cabins, pat yourself, have a coffee, go back home, but not in the outside world. They will just everybody will just realize that you have just ensured that you are trying to make up with the competition. So this definition about digital adaptability, digital transformation, and disruption needs to be extremely critical in mind, that the disruption, the transformation, and the adaptability are more critical. Digital is just a footnote or the dividing factor among all of them. You use technology to what? Did you transform the business? Did you disrupt the business? Or you just adapted to the business, right? So that's where I would say, the transformation
No, no, it's absolutely
definition.
correct. I think over a period of time, when we use this word digital transformation, I think the focus started going more towards the word digital than the transformation. So actually, it was transformation which was supposed to be supported by a digital technology. But I think it went the other way around. Transformation stopped happening, and people started talking more on the technology part of it. So I think that's where the balance got little, balance got little hampered, and the definition started getting. I mean, the thin lines started getting merged, and like what you said, and I mean, three very important steps or probably stages, what we can say: the disruption, transformation, and adaptation. So I think all the three things have got their own importance, but then people need to understand where they are exactly. They cannot probably call. I mean, disruption is a different ballgame altogether. Let's not even talk about it. The
Correct.
adaptation and the transformation, when we're talking about, so we need to be clear on our objectives, clear on our thoughts, that what exactly we're trying to achieve. Are we transforming, or are we adapting to something else? I think
And,
that's
and, and
again
and
and
it's not
again
that just because you are using the latest technology and the modern keywords, you're transforming.
absolutely,
So it
absolutely.
does not matter if you're using IoT or AI or a chatbot, you just got transforming yourself. No.
No, I
Even
think
what are you using an AI for? What you're using a chatbot for? What are you using a IoT devices for? Those are important factors. Just because I've implemented a blockchain solution, with due respects to everyone, what have you achieved is very, very important.
I think the
Technology is not that big.
responsibility lies on us also, Subhashish. I mean, we as industry guys, if we don't speak that language in the correct way and start calling anything and everything digital transformation, the value of that word, at one point of time, will actually, it will be just poof. I mean, it will go. People will not talk about it. I think any now it has already started. Like when you go and speak to a customer and say that we are going to transform you digitally, they actually laugh at you. They said, every second guy comes and says that you are transforming me digitally. So that I think the responsibility lies within the industry itself. That when you go and speak to customers, define the boundaries, define the lines properly, and tell them that what exactly they are achieving out of it, and what you as a and you as an industry, where you are actually contributing to it. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And it's a gradual process. I think people have started the journey right now. They might be in either of the phases, but at one point of time, yes, the objective will be transformation, but somebody needs to either they've realized by themselves, or somebody needs to go and tell them that, okay, this is what exactly transformation means, and this is where your objective should direct you to. I mean, that's very important out there.
That's right. That's right. See, and it's important to for customers also to understand what is the goals they are chasing. Adaptability is a great goal to chase. There's no problem about adaptability, and let's not be
But
ashamed
it
about
has to be
adaptability.
adaptability, not transformation again.
Yes, because just because you are getting adapted and facing your competition far better than what you are, it just shows that you're also fleet-footed, right? You're moving faster. You're moving as fast as your competition is moving, or maybe faster than them. So the fact is that it doesn't mean that because you're not digitally transforming yourself, you're not a nimble-footed and ready for change. It just means you're
Correct.
adapting to yourself. So those are
Correct.
definition challenges. And you're right. We should go. We do go in a lot of places, and we ask sometimes very difficult questions to our customers also when they come back and tell us that they want to implement the solution, because we also ask them what is the business requirement they want to achieve out of a typical solutions, and then we move forward then. But so yeah, obviously a little bit of consultative approach uh, from
No, no, it's
people
definitely
like
needed.
us who understand should go to the customer and say, okay, you want to do a digital adaptation, we'll do a digital adaptation, but it will not be a transformation. So that's
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Subhashish. I think yet again, it was a very exciting discussion, and I'm sure a lot of wrong understandings around this digital transformation would get cleared. I mean, it's the discussion was just the tip of the iceberg. I think we can go on forever, and we should have we can go on forever discussing this whole topic, and it will never
okay.
stop. And I think we should have consecutive sessions around it, identifying particular verticals and how exactly they should look at transformation per se, and then have some talks and discussions around it. Right? But otherwise, it was a lovely discussion, and the whole concept of disruption, transformation, and adaptation was so well defined, and I'm sure anybody who's listening to it can actually get a perspective of what really a digital transformation means to any industry today. So thank you so much, Subhashish. Always a pleasure to talk to you, and we should keep talking, and we should keep bringing on those exciting thoughts out for our audience at any point of time. Thank you so much. Stay safe, stay good.
Bye.